Hey guys, what's up? This episode is going to be a lot of mental health stuff. And my guys that want to get tips on how to this, how to that, postseason scouting, what you should be looking for turkeys right now, stuff like that. This probably is not the episode for you. This is going to be an episode really focused on getting motivation back to get outside and get back in the woods or get on the water. Here we go. What up, peeps? On this sit, we are going to have a conversation. I'm 51. I have up and down depression really bad. I have anxiety every day, and um, it, it's tough, man. It is. And I'm a Gen Xer, and us Gen Xers, we don't like to feel that way at all. And I think it's more tough for us to battle against and trying to figure out why we feel this way. Well, I have a past that I know why I feel this way. And I've moved on from a lot of it, but there's certain things that I want to fix or help fix myself. Where, like, one thing in particular that I really want to talk about and go into is my motivation for the outdoors, especially deer hunting. And I've lost that spark or that flame under my rear end where, 5 years ago, you couldn't keep me out of the woods. You could not keep me out of the woods for no reason besides something with my immediate family, my wife and three kids. If there wasn't going on a sports event or something like that, I'm in a tree or I'm scouting or I'm whatever, something that had to do with deer hunting. I was never a big fisherman, but I do want to start getting into fishing more in the spring and the summer. Maybe not midsummer where it's like smoking hot, but like, early summer. But I am a turkey hunter too. I love turkey hunting, but even then, like, I don't know where I lost that fire to do something that I love to do, and I've always loved to do, and I want to get that back. I love doing it, but like, it's just getting from here and getting out there. And the last thing I've said in a couple other videos too is people like me, we don't want to hear people say to us, you gotta, you need. That's something you'll never hear from me. You're not going to hear from me like, yo, you need to do this and you need to do that. You're going to hear something on the lines of, hey, try this or try that, or this worked for me. Or in my experiences, this was the best route for me. I will never tell you you need to do something unless it's breathe or survive or uh, put the bottle down, put the pipe down, or something in that matter. That's the only instance you'll hear me say you need to do. But anyway, this episode is going to be about pretty much coping tools that I've been using, and anybody who wants to keep listening, and how I use the outdoors to cope and how I need to get the outdoors back into my life as much as I want it to be in order to me to use the outdoors to cope with this bullshit mental health stuff. This is my podcast, and the title of this is going to be When the Hunt Just Doesn't Feel the Same. So here we go. Today we're out and about. I call this session of listening to myself talk to everybody, ramble on, out and about. We are out and about. Welcome, my friends, my family, my friends, anybody who else wants to listen to. My question is, have you ever had a season where or multiple seasons, where you're sitting there and you're sitting on the couch and you're watching TV or drinking coffee or out on the porch and, like, bucks are running around like crazy. It's a big first week of November and you got your cameras blowing up. You got a couple cell cams out there, and it's blowing up all day long in a hot funnel. You just don't want to do it. You just don't feel like doing it. Or your buddies are calling you in the spring. Yo, man, turkeys are all over the place. Or the fish are biting here. Get your ass over here and get the yak out. You just don't feel it. You're there physically if you do go, but mentally you're just somewhere else. And I don't understand how I myself got to that point. And if that's you, I from my recent therapy stuff that I'm learning that you're not lazy and you're not broken. You just got a whole crap load of stuff on your plate. So you're probably carrying more in here, your brain, I'm pointing to the people that are listening and not watching, more than you can handle, mentally and physically. I want to show you and talk about real things that you could do when anxiety and depression starts to kick in and stealing that joy of being out in the outdoors and in the woods. Listen, I'm not a therapist. I'm not an expert. I'm just stating what's helped me in the past and what's helping me right now. Because me and my therapist, I see a therapist once a week. I have for months and months. And these are real things that you can do when that anxiety hits or that depression hits or that low point hits where your motivation is at empty. It says E, the gas tank, fuel tank, light is on E. The light turns on. Boom! I don't feel like doing nothing. I'm staying home. I'm going to play PlayStation 5 all the goddamn day, and I just don't feel like doing it. This might not be the best way. It's just what's worked for me and what might help you or somebody else, Share it. Few examples for me would be back in November, I had all the time in the world to hunt, and I didn't, and I said on a video I did on TikTok about this certain podcast, I took like 4 days that first week in November and left my bow at home and just scouted. That's just what I wanted to do. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. And you're going to get mornings and days like that where you just don't want to wake up for the morning sit. You just don't want to get up. And then you do get up and you get out in the woods and you're sitting there and you just don't really want to be there. And it's not that you don't love doing that anymore. It's just you got too much crap in your head, man. Then you catch yourself. You're sitting in a stand. You're scrolling. You're scrolling. You're scrolling. You're scrolling. And then you realize the sound's on your phone, and you don't care. It's just, what the hell, man? Well, I knew better than this. What am I doing? The thing that catches me is, and I really got caught up in this crap. I really did. And I blame a couple of influencers that I got a little personal with, and got to know a little bit better. They kept pushing me and pushing me. And I mentioned this on a particular one. I mentioned this on my first podcast. I would never mention names, but it was the obsession to kill mature big bucks. And I don't want to feel that way anymore. I was putting so much pressure on myself to get out there and be the best and be the biggest buck killer of the area and, on the East Coast or the state or whatever. I don't get to that point, and a lot of these people on YouTube and TikTok, they're pushing that, do this, do that. You need to do this. You need to do that. And, I really think that part of social media has put my mental state into where it is now. It took a lot of my fire away of doing what I love to do. And I'm getting away from that. Even though I'm doing a podcast, I'm doing content, I'm doing TikToks, I'm doing Instagram, I'm doing all that, but I'm not listening to all the other noise. I'm not looking at the channels like, there's a couple big channels like, oh, do this and you'll kill this big thing. Buy this or you won't kill this big buck or mature bucks. And I absolutely despise the term mature buck. It's so trendy. It's so overused. It lives in my head rent free. I cringe when I hear it because the reason why I hate that term, and I'm going to throw this in here a little bit, it becomes a trigger for me because that's what I used to hear a few years back when I was obsessed with hunting inches, obsessed with it. And I want to get that away from me, and I get it. Listen, I get it. Mature bucks are real. They really are. For my mental peace, I have reworded the term mature buck into pressured educated bucks. And you can take that, and it might sound stupid, but in my mind, it it, it deters that trigger for me, using that trigger. And why I say that is because to explain pressured mature bucks is almost the same thing as mature bucks, but I'm saying it in a different way because this is what it means to me. A pressure educated buck is, I'll tell you right now, a pressure educated buck, I've seen some 2.5 year old pressure educated bucks. They're out there. 1.5 year old spikes that are super pressure educated. And my point is, the older they get, the more educated they get, where the more mature they get. So that's what I mean by pressured educated bucks. It just means mature bucks. I just hate using that trendy phrase, mature bucks. I hate it. It just I hate it. It's just it's just one of my peeves, I guess. But another thing is I got into, and you gotta stop comparing yourself to. You'll go, and I don't give a shit who you are. If you're a deer hunter and you have any inkling on woodsmanship skills, I know I'm a good woodsman. I know I could go somewhere and scout it with my stand on my back and a bow in my hand and almost be 95% sure that I'm going to have a deer walk under me that night. That's how confident I am in my skills in deer hunting and my woodsmanship skills. I really am. Woodsmanship skills for deer hunting. Now, when it comes to turkey, I don't know much about turkey hunting. I like doing it, but I never researched turkey enough to hone in my woodsmanship skills for turkey hunting, which I really want to work on too. When you're scrolling, somebody like me, and I got caught up into this too, and I'm going to be the first to admit it to you, I'd say, this guy's regurgitating info. I'd watch a YouTube video and say, this is regurgitated information. I already knew this. I already knew that. And that's an arrogance that I don't like. I'm not that guy. And I was getting like that, and I don't like it. I don't like getting like that. So when you get an arrogance like that, it forms an ego in my thought process. And I don't like that. I don't want somebody looking at me like I'm an arrogant, egotistical butt butthead that's just throwing regurgitated information online for views and likes. I don't care. Listen. I don't want to say I don't care if somebody follows me or likes me or watches my content. I do care, and if I help one person out of a mental episode, through my hunting content or whatever it is, that's a win for me. My goal is to help people. You get up at 4 a.m. You don't want to wake up. You don't want to get out of bed. And then you still get up and go climb a tree or get in a boat, and you don't want to be there, and you just don't know why you're there. Why did I come out here? And it almost feels like work, and that's terrible. That's terrible when something that you love to do starts to feel like work. And my point is, so I just rambled on about the ego and arrogance. That's where it comes from. And that's where we need to, I don't want to say I need to, I'm sorry, but that's where we want to watch who we're watching, who we're listening to. Why are we doing this? Why are we in the woods? Why are we hunting? Why are we fishing? What's our goals? Everybody has different goals. And listen, if you want to go kill giant bucks every year, good luck, bro. Good luck. Because if people have goals like that, they're most likely going to be unrealistic goals. Because realistically, there's not monsters all running all over where you live at. Unless you live in Wisconsin or Iowa, you have some, one of them states out there, Kentucky, or you have some cushy 1,000-acre farm that, some of these YouTubes work from. And they kill these giants every year. And there's reasons why they do it. First off, they hunt 7 days a week. Even some of these big YouTube channels that hunt public land every year. The Hunting Beast, the Hunting Public. I love the Hunting Public. Them guys are great guys. If you do want to watch a YouTube channel on deer hunting and how to, even some turkey hunting, go watch them boys. Aaron and Zach, them boys are natural born killers. And Catman is a really good channel too. The Hunting Beast used to be really good maybe 10 years ago, but he got off of it. He's into a lot of other stuff now, and I used to watch a lot of his stuff. A lot of his old CDs are really good. My point is, my things that are helping my mental health is first off, I'm getting away from all that type of group, people, content, channels, podcasts, all that kind of stuff. All the trophy things. Go kill this, go kill that. Like I said earlier, 5-10 minutes ago. I'm getting away from that. I'm not unfollowing people. I'm not mad at nobody. I want to reroute where I want to take my journey, and the way I want to help people. And it's been working. It really has been. I changed my goals, and my point is, this is what we need to do mentally as sufferers from mental illness, and to relight our motivation for doing something that we love. My number one thing with the inch obsession, and especially with deer hunting, would be putting pressure on yourself. And I'm telling you, putting pressure on yourself to kill giant bucks and giant inches of antler every year is pressure. And that's something you don't need. You don't need to put pressure on yourself. Because in the honest end, what do? Post it on Facebook and somebody looks at it and says congrats? Because, listen, I'm not trying to sound a certain way, but people are happy for you. But really, honestly, they're going to go home and forget about it. Nobody cares. I mean, think about it. Nobody really does, And I heard Dan Infolt say that at one time years ago, because nobody cares, And he's right. He is right in a way. But, that's one way. You gotta stop putting pressure on you. That is one thing, you need to stop putting pressure on yourself. There, I will say, you need to do that. Don't put pressure on yourself. Don't put pressure on yourself to go out and get footage of giant bucks every year. I got to get that footage. I got to film that. I got to kill that buck that's running around this farm, or I want to get that buck before anybody else does that's running around this certain piece of public before anybody else does. That way I could post it on Facebook and say, hey, look, guys, because nobody cares. Why? For what? That's putting pressure on yourself. And what it's doing is putting pressure so much that it's going to build and build and build. And if you don't kill that animal that you're pursuing, or catch that fish that you're pursuing, or kill that turkey that you're pursuing, that's going to burn you out quick. And that's what happened to me. That's why I'm going right back to burnout. Burnout. I chased, I chased, I chased. I missed, and I have had numerous opportunities on Giants in Delaware, and I just didn't. I screwed it up somehow, and I was so bad on myself and so tough on myself that my point is, it's made my fire go out, and it's actually depressed me in certain ways. I get depressed during hunting season because I don't know why. I do. I do. I get down on myself. I get put pressure on myself, and that's where I'm saying I want to get away from that. That's why I don't watch stuff like that. I don't listen to things like that anymore, and that's going to help. A step like that might help somebody else that feels a certain way about things that I do, and that's another step that you can do. Honestly, limit social media. Like I just said, limit the channels you watch, limit the podcasts you watch, you know, limit things that are going to put pressure on you. Uh, it's helped me a lot, a ton. Getting it's starting to help. I'm sorry, it's starting to help me get a little bit more drive to get back outside in the woods, get back outside, and I'm really looking forward to getting a kayak and start kayaking and fishing this year. I think that's something that I'm really going to enjoy. And have, I really feel excited for turkey season this year. I do. Um, I went a couple years ago and I had no idea or last year, I went last year, no clue what I was doing. And I had some hens come out to me a few times. Now, years ago, I hunted with a buddy of mine, turkey hunting. He was a really good hunter, but he had really prime real estate to hunt on, and he would bring me with him, and we would pile them up. We would pile them up. It was like, you know, fish in a barrel, man. And I'm talking years ago, years and years ago, 25 years ago. But now I'm on my own. I don't have nobody I really mess with turkey hunting, and I'm really starting to do a little research on them. I limit social media, like I said, but get off your phone with the hunting and fishing content before you go to bed. Um, if you're out hunting, don't be scrolling in the stand, man. Pay attention. Put your head in the game. Pay attention to your surroundings because listen, he just caught you moving your finger like this. That's how slick they are. Everybody knows that. Anybody that knows anything about older deer, mature bucks, they're educated. Very, very pressure educated, and they're looking everywhere when they're walking through the woods during the daylight hours. This is how they roll. It's how they survive. But scrolling, put your phone down. Put it in. Put it away. Stop worrying about your camera. You'll get the footage. It'll get it. You'll get it. Don't panic. Oh, here's a buck. You're putting pressure on yourself. Doing that kind of things. You're even the night before, man. I hope I got my camera right, my camera angles right, this, that, and the other thing. That's all pressure, man. We are killing ourselves with that kind of crap in the hunt. I mean, it's making hunting a job, you know, collecting content to show everybody, and I don't want to sound hypocritical because I do the same thing. I don't film my hunts I stopped filming my hunts. I was going to start doing it, and I probably will start next year a little bit at a time. But I'm not going to take a camera arm. I'm not taking my phone with a camera arm. I have a Tacticam that goes in your stabilizer, and I'm going to tell you right now, I hit the button and it starts filming, and then I film what's out in front of me, and that's it. You can see the shot if I take a shot, and then when I get down and track the deer that I shot, you're going to see that. I'm going to film that on my camera. So, you know, that's the footage I'm going to have next year. I'm not putting pressure on myself. Here's another thing that puts pressure on people and makes your mental health when it comes to the outdoors burn out. What's the latest gear? Oh my lord! Right now, it's crazy. It's just off the hook crazy. And I was going to pick my sticks up, but I won't because my listeners won't be able to see it anyway. But um, you know, I see all these videos at the ATA shows and all this shit. And how many goddamn gadgets do you need? Honestly, I'm a saddle hunter. I've been in the saddle since around 2008, 7 or 8. I bought my first saddle from the original OG Trophy Line company, which went out of business. So ATA shows, you're putting pressure. I mean, everybody likes to go to the shows. It's fine. But the gadgets they're trying to sell you, the gear they're trying to sell you, you don't need sticks every year. You don't need a new bow every year. You don't need a new saddle every year. Go get a saddle. Go get a set of sticks. Go get a stand or a platform and just hunt. You know, find your system, find the equipment that you like to do, and hopefully people in your area that have different models, different brands of equipment, and they will help you try certain different ones. And then you can break down the equipment that you want that works for you best. Everybody's different. What works for me might not work for you. So just keep that in mind. Don't let these gear junkies put pressure on you. It'll burn you out quick too. Now we got inch obsession, pound obsession for fish, turkey turkey obsession, fishing obsession, and now we got gear obsession. So you got 5 things that are putting pressure on you already in February, and the hunting season just got over. Oh, one more thing, sheds. I got to go out and find 100 sheds. There's a 6th pressure that puts pressure on your mind. Just go out and have a good time, man. You don't need all the gadgets. Who cares if you find 100 sheds? Who cares if you find 5 sheds? You're going to find them if you know what you're doing. What the hell are you going to do with them anyway? Pile them in the garage? Yeah, who cares? But anyway, I mean, I know guys collect them. Some guys sell them. But it is what it is. Stop putting pressure on yourself. And like I said, you got to limit your social media. That's a biggie. I think you really, really got to limit your social media with this kind of stuff, because if you don't, it's going to put massive pressure on you. There's going to be guys online putting some stuff into your head that you need this, you need that, and that's one of the first things I said on this podcast is say, I'm not going to tell you you need this or you need that, unless it's a mental thing, unless it's going to help you in a way that it's just impossible not to. So, another thing that has helped me a little bit is I don't watch highlight reels. Um, I quit watching NFL. I don't watch oh no, I won't watch the Olympics. I don't watch the NFL. I don't watch any pro sports. Every once in a while, I'll watch like a hockey game or something like that, because I do like hockey, and NHL is not tainted yet. But don't watch highlight reels too much. Watch one here and there, because I'm telling you what that does. For me, other people might be entertained, but what that did for me was I feel inferior to people. And I don't mind that when somebody's teaching something, but most of these guys are not out there to teach you something. They are, I don't want to say most of them, a lot of them are not out there to teach you. They're there to boast and make you follow them and listen to them because every watch and listen they get, cha-ching, makes them money. I get it. I might sound hypocritical, like doing this podcast and this YouTube thing and TikTok thing, but that's not what I'm about. I explained that in the beginning of the video. So, or however long ago it was. We're into it. This video, a little over half an hour, but that's just how it affects me watching somebody's hot video. I'm happy for them, but you know what? That's great, dude. But then I start breaking down what's he doing different than I am. Does he know something better than me? And that starts to scramble up here in your brain, like maybe I'm not doing right. And then you start second guessing yourself when you're in the woods because you're thinking about that kind of stuff. So it's not good, man. All that shit puts pressure on you. Excuse my language. Another thing is we get unmotivated for doing a lot of things. You start getting tired. When you're tired, you get more tired. It's like, and I've heard a lot of people, they sleep and they're they're tired from being tired, so they sleep more. So you can actually get too much sleep or too tired like that, and that's not a good thing for your mind because what that's going to do is going to burn your motivation for doing anything. That's going to burn your motivation for even going out the front door, getting in your truck and doing whatever. That's not a good thing. Work on that. That's a big thing. Get your sleep, get your comfortable sleep at night. Everybody's different, and get your rest. Because I'm going to be honest with you. With me, when my body is wore out, I'm hurting. I'm tired. My brain gets worse. I fall. I fall deeper, and it's just like doop 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 doop. I keep falling and falling. And I'll tell you, it's like a ladder. You're like hitting rungs on the way down, and the rungs breaking as you fall. And I'll tell you, it's very, very difficult to climb out of a hole on a ladder that don't have any rungs. Good luck. A few of my little fixes that I've been doing, and like I said earlier in this cast, is in November. I went scouting. I didn't hunt. The first week of November, one of the most best weeks to be in a tree, I scouted all week. I'll tell you what, I come across a lot of bucks, man. I come across a lot of bucks. I face to face, and they would come up because them, their nose down. They come up and look at me. Oh, and they were gone, man. It was pretty funny a few times, but you really should drink a lot of water. Get your liquids. That really helps flush your system out when you are feeling unmotivated and depressed and all that stuff. It gets I guess it gets the juices flowing. I've read that. My therapist has told me that. Eat a lot of protein. I'm a big dude. I'm very overweight for my height, and I have struggled with it my entire life. And I'm on Zepbound now. I'm starting to lose it a little bit at a time. Like to lose it a little faster, but I'm trying to be patient with it. You know what I like to do a lot too is if I'm having a lazy day and I feel like shit, excuse my language, I'll go scout access roads. Access roads in an area are probably one of the worst areas to go into a spot you want to hunt. They got to be. I mean, because especially on public, because the deer are watching them. People walk down them all the time, so the deer in that area, if they're using that area, they know that, so they're monitoring that. So, and then you know you got pressure in there already. You know somebody's walking down there. So what are you going to walk down there and go to the right or left 100 yards and sit in a tree? Nah, don't do that when you're hunting. But when you're having a bad day, that's another thing that I try to do. I walk access roads because you can walk a long, long ways in Delaware on access roads. You can, I mean, miles. And I do it. I do it, and it's helped a lot. And why I say that, I walk access roads and trails because it puts my mindset in a deer mode. I'm still in the woods. I'm still in a deer mode. And I'm looking into the woods on the right and left hand side. And I'm looking for rubs and scrapes and whatever else, a trail crossing the road. And I still, in my mind, think I'm scouting. So it's a little step. Say you come up on one of these access roads and you see a giant trail heading off. Well, first off, if it's on public, you probably had 10 guys walk that day, that week, because you ain't the only one that found that. But, whatever. But say you hit that trail and you walk it and you hit this really awesome edge and it starts to get thick. It starts to get really soft where it peters out and then gets it's not open. It's an area that you would want to, kind of find and think to yourself, you know what? I would feel safe if I was a buck during daylight hours in here. Scout all that. That's a spot you scout. And then get out of there. Then leave. You don't have to scout the whole entire woods. That's just going to give you another puzzle piece in your mind to, oh man, that felt good to find that. And every feeling that you're getting of that positivity, of something positive that happened or you found, is going to start giving you them little sparks to get back out there, giving them little sparks to get back out there. There's one, there's two, there's another one, there's another one, there's another one. Then you could really, to be honest with you, yeah, I'm looking at some notes, but excuse the sound, that's my notes. Another thing you could do is, especially now, February, like I'm saying, this was very deer hunting oriented, this therapy type thing I want to get out there for people that are like me. Go back to spots that are right off the road, you know, that there was heavy deer sign there, and go scout them, go check them out. It might take you 20 minutes. Get out of the truck, go walk in the woods, see if that sign, see what's going on in there, and get back in the truck and go to the next spot. I'm going to tell you right now, some of the best spots I've ever hunted were 10 yards off the road. I mean, honestly, especially down here in southern Delaware, these deer use these roads on this public down here more than you think. They have parallel trails that they travel, and they can, especially because you got to consider, I don't want you to take this wrong, but hey, here's a deer tip, especially our bucks. In some way or another, a pressure educated buck is going to, I don't care where he wants to go. I don't care if the wind is blowing over his back on his travel route to a destination spot. Eventually, that buck is most likely going to get to a certain spot on the way to that destination spot, and he's going to want to smell that spot and scent check that from a distance. So sometimes it depends on the buck's personality. It could be earlier. It could be halfway from bedding to feeding, that destination spot, or it could be within 100 yards of that destination spot. That buck he's going to change his travel to where he's going to have to loop around or J-hook or do something crazy in order to scent check that destination spot. I don't care what it is, a bait pile, a food plot, an ag field, something in that matter. You might be hunting that destination spot and have that wind perfectly, but there might be a low spot that you're not realizing is close to that is collecting your scent down on the ground, and it's sucking your scent to that bowl or low spot at that destination spot. So just put that in the back of your mind. A few more things to say, and I think, we'll wrap it up. And my biggest thing is, if your mind is not ready to sit still, do you really think your body's going to sit still in a tree or in a boat or out on a hedgerow hunting turkeys? I doubt it. I doubt it very much. And when your head's not still, you're not there, man. You're not there, and you're putting pressure on yourself, and you're leading yourself into failure for that specific hunt. So you get down, you get frustrated, then you start getting down on yourself and start second guessing yourself and saying, man, what did I do wrong? You didn't do anything wrong. You just weren't into it. And that made you feel a certain way, and that made you fail. And, you got to realize if hunting or fishing doesn't feel the same way, you're not alone. There's a lot of people out there that feel the same way I do. I'm tired of social media. I'm tired of this. You need this. You need that. It's all bullshit, man. It really is. Excuse my language. Sometimes we need help. I've asked for help in the last 10 years a lot of times, man. Yes, men. Yes, guys. We need help sometimes. Yes. Swallow the pride and sit there and ask somebody, hey, man, I need some help. I do. Therapy, doctors, whatever. Needing help is not a weakness. And doing this podcast and my content is my help because it makes me feel that I'm helping others. So that too, you can get into doing this. And like I said earlier, I would probably stay away from other things that just focus on what your goal is and what you want to do with social media and not mimic people. Don't mimic people because then there's a million of us out here, man, doing the same thing with hunting stuff and fishing stuff and turkey hunting stuff. And, everybody's regurgitating info, like I said, way back an hour ago, as I was rambling on an hour ago. So don't do that. Put all them highlight reels away and do it for you. And do it for you to help others. And that's how we're all going to get together and stop all this hate between each other and crossbow bashing and inch obsession and buck shaming and all that kind of stuff. That needs to stop. And that's all. Honestly, that's all you see on social media. Every other goddamn post I see on social media is either buck shaming or bashing a crossbow. A guy using a crossbow. It's just garbage, man. Garbage content. Going to therapy and listening to good quality content that's going to help you in whatever way you need help, it is good. It's therapy. It's maintenance for yourself, and it's a step in the right direction to get you back to where you want to be. Like, that's what I'm doing. That's where I want to be eventually, and I'm getting there. I really am. 2026 is going to be a good year for me. I keep telling myself that, and I'm convincing myself that. It's going to be a really, really good year for me. Your mind needs to be maintenance and taken care of just like anything else. Your car, your truck, your car, your bow, your gear, all that stuff. You got to take care of yourself. You got to stop putting pressure on yourself and stop with the inch obsession. The inch obsession, I'm telling you, is tearing the industry. It's burning the industry up. This inch obsession, it's just ridiculous. We'll get into that another time now. And to wrap this up, you got to make little goals for yourself. You got to make getting outside is a goal. Getting out in the woods, scouting is a goal. Going out, no matter what time it is during the day, and go and climb a tree for an hour, or even sitting at the base of a tree on a stool hunting for an hour or two. That's a win. That's a goal. It's going to put, especially if you get something to walk by, if you get a shot at something, or that is going to be a huge, huge help. The woods is everything to me, and it's not going to fix everything right now, but I'll tell you right now, the positive things that you can get out of it is going to help you get back to the one you once were, if that makes sense. That's it. I appreciate you listening. I hope this helped somebody. I know I jumped around a little bit, but it is what it is. And you guys are great. And come on back and listen. You don't have to follow. If you ever need help again, come back and listen to a couple of my episodes. So, this is Rob. I'm from Barter's Books. Until the next sit. Peace. Be safe, people.